Hey there, YouTube. Heir of Carthage here. Gonna bring you some Napoleon Total War online. This is gonna be few and far between. I decided just to play the game for fun the last couple of days. So I played a little campaign, played a little online. I played one real nuisance battle online where this guy was playing on Waterloo, and he knew how to set up his artillery and his men so that regardless of whether you had a range advantage or something, like his guys could shoot from behind cover and you couldn't hit them, you know, on that hill in the back. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It was moronic. It was a really annoying battle and one of those ones that I guess some people can just play it over and over again and not get tired of doing the same thing over and over again, even if it's cheap. But this guy didn't, apparently, and didn't really have any problem doing it either. But oh well, I guess you can play the game how you want. Now, Napoleon Total War, so I stink at this game. I like the kind of games in Napoleon Total War that are a little slower, where I'm trying to break a defense or do like a bridge battle or something. A bridge battle without artillery is even better, just because you have to use your skirmisher smart to try and force one another across, or you can make some clever moves. But I mean, I'm okay with playing with artillery. This particular battle there is no artillery. I'm playing as Austria, my ally is playing as Russia, our enemies are France and Britain. So interesting alliance of France and Britain, not very likely, but oh well. So I'm just lining up my troops here. I want to say that I have 8 of these, or 7 of these Hungarian Fusiliers. I guess depends on whether you're going to pronounce it like French style or English style. I'll just say Fusiliers for now. And then I've got an Archduke Charles Legion and a 1st Regiment Emperor's Own. I've got one Windbush Jaeger. This unit's freaking awesome, but, and some of you may disagree with me on this, but I really think that this unit, for the cost, it's like 1,200 and something, you know, money to buy this unit for the battle, and it has like almost no ammunition and only 45 men. The 45 men I understand, because it's extremely deadly, even at long range, and it's the only rifle unit on this game that is deadly at long range. All the other rifle units are just jack trash at long range. This one's good, but it only has 45 men. The least they could have done is given it like a ton of ammo or something, because 1,200 is a lot. So they either need to drop the price and allow you to bring 2 of them, or increase the ammo on the one unit you can bring, because they're pretty hard to protect. I've got 4 Uhlans and then just a general staff. And the reason I brought the Hungarian Fusiliers is because their morale is better. So you bring these guys, they have better morale than the German Fusiliers. They cost a little more, but their stats are better, and it's pretty much worth it. And then, of course, I brought the 2 specialty units. Austria doesn't really have foot guard units, which puts them at a disadvantage, plus their Grenzers aren't very good. So yeah, they're definitely not as good as some of the other factions. One of the things that, I mean, it makes sense. Like, I understand why some of the factions are balanced the way they are in Napoleon. It's actually, like, somewhat time period specific, but it makes it kind of a nuisance in multiplayer, to be quite honest. So, in some ways, I kind of wish they would have changed the balancing a little bit in multiplayer to make the factions just a little more equal, so that you could play as the different factions and enjoy it. You know, I understand, again, for realism purposes, but still, it's kind of annoying. So, my teammate's got 4 of these Russian Jaegers. I don't really know what he has for infantry, so let's take a look. Musketeers, Grenadiers, Semenovsky Life Guard, another Grenadier, and a Life Guard foot. He's got a Cossack Cavalry, Life Guard of Horse, Mounted Rifles, more Cossack Cavalry, or Cossack Cavalry, however you want to say it. So yeah, that's his army. He's got a pretty tough army there. The Russian infantry is not all that great in a shoot-it-out fight, but they're not to be trifled with on the charge. When they do a bayonet charge, it's pretty effective. And their guard units are also quite deadly in a melee. So if they end up in melee with you, usually not a good thing. Let's check out the British opponent. Let's see what he's got. So hidden behind these buildings, he's got a foot, another foot there. So 2 units of foot. Let's see, King's German Legion Light Dragoons. 2 of them. I wasn't aware you could bring more than 1. He's got another foot unit, King's German Legion foot, so that makes 4 foot units altogether. He's got a rifle unit there. That's surprising that's not a light infantry unit. He's probably using it for the range, though. I actually bring 125 range units whenever it's a no artillery bridge fight. Now, our opponents, I think, knew what they were doing, which is fine. So they were playing together, and they had a plan for this map, and so they've blocked up all the points, a lot of the crossing points with stakes, in case we made a cavalry charge across. Considering that they're going to play defensive, that's a smart move. Let's see, because then if we can't get our cavalry across and they have cavalry over here, it gives them an advantage. We've got a foot unit here and a light foot over here. I'm not sure if some of his units are hidden or what. Doesn't seem like he has a whole ton of units. Oh, they're up here on the hill. Got 2 more foot units, general staff, foot, and another light infantry. Let's check out my opponent. He's got an old guard right here that I would love to get rid of without engaging. So that's a tempting target for my Windjägers. He's got a chasseur right there. Fusiliers of the line, young guard, another chasseur, more fusiliers, dragoons, general staff, chasseur à cheval, dragoons, fusiliers, more chasseur, voltigeur, Polish guard lancer, and a Dutch guard lancer. So his cavalry is better than mine. His light infantry is stronger than mine, and just a sit-still, duke-it-out fight. I have a range advantage. I have an infantry advantage in numbers, though his old guard and young guard are qualitatively superior to any unit that I have. So it'll be an interesting fight. So the first thing I notice is that this hill gives me pretty excellent cover from surrounding units, and I'm going to put my Windjägers up here in good position to whack this light infantry unit. And then my goal is to take down this old guard. Let's take a look at what my Russian teammate is up to. Looks like he's got some Cossack cavalry and some Russian Jaegers over here backing up some foot units. And he's making a push through this choke point here. So he's got another Russian Jaeger unit here firing at these 2 foot units. There's some British cab back there too. Let's go take a look at my Windjägers. These guys are freaking awesome. So I was sneaking them up here. I think they're still hidden for the moment, but they become visible in a moment because they get close enough to one of his light infantry units. My opponent my teammate does a great job of pushing against his opponent, though, in a less defended spot. So even though his opponent has a choke point, he's going to take advantage of numbers over here. And if his opponent starts shifting things, it's going to give him a hole over here. So the British opponent is spread too thin across too many crossings. And I thought that my Russian teammate here did a good job of taking advantage of a weak spot and starting to push through, because if he can push through, it allows me to just sit back and skirmish with my opponent and try and pick up some kind of advantage. So these Windjägers use a little air gun. It's actually a really cool gun. I wish I had one of these in real life, but I imagine they're pretty hard to come by. So it used compressed air to fire a shot, and it was rifled. So you can hear the cool noises there, and it was deadly accurate out to long range, even in real life. Very interesting gun. They were very expensive to produce, though, so that's why you never saw them in large numbers. But you can see that I have the range on this light foot unit. My opponent probably doesn't even realize I'm attacking it, because these guns don't make a lot of noise. Of course, since it's not a powdered flintlock, you're not going to see any smoke. So also very cool. I love the noises. Like I said, this unit's freaking rad, and I think you could use more than one of them in Empire Total War. Is a cool unit. I liked the balancing of it better in that game. It is very strong in that game, but it's still expensive, and it should be strong in this game to maybe give Austria a little bit of an advantage in a light fight. The problem is that as soon as one of your opponents closes the distance with these Windjägers, there's only 45 of them. So that's another reason why I don't know why they don't give them enough ammo to at least, stay in the fight. So they used up about half their ammo to kill this light foot unit, even though they're deadly accurate. So if you check this out, his guys are just getting sniped, and all you can hear is like little pellet shots. It's pretty freaking sweet. Regroup, man. You should start running. Blow the trumpet. They definitely need some blood effects on here like they have in Shogun 2. So yeah, my Windjägers are going to completely wreck this unit. I'm going to start picking at the old guard, but my opponent was smart enough to see that, and he goes ahead and moves the old guard unit away from my Windjägers. These rifles right here did not make any attempt to engage my Windjägers. Again, my opponent, the British opponent's attention is focusing in this corner, where he's being assaulted piecemeal by the Russians. Like I said, intelligent assault by the my Russian teammate here. He's picking at the British player and making weaknesses and trying to get him to reform and redeploy his troops, while I'm kind of just standing back. And if my French opponent makes a charge at me, I can kill him in the choke points, and the same thing with this British one. It's a good thing, though, that they didn't double team me, because I really could not defend this crossing very well. So I'm actually very fortunate the British player didn't take opportunity here to start double teaming me, because it would have taken a little while for my teammate to reinforce me, because he was a ways off. So that's probably one thing they should have done. But I kind of like these strategic battles. When it comes to Napoleon being played on open ground and like being a micro fight, kind of like Point Man style or Ares, any of those guys that I play against, they would just destroy me on this. And any player who plays like that would destroy me because I'm bad at that on Napoleon Total War. These little bit slower matches give me a chance to try and exploit a few weaknesses. It kind of goes at my pace, i.e. my slowed down pace. Again, Napoleon is definitely, out of all the Total War games, probably the one that I'm the worst at. I would say that I'm probably feeling most comfortable on Shogun 2. Definitely not a pro. So let me explain what I'm doing out here. You can see me repositioning this line unit. My opponent spread some troops out around my flank. What I'm going to do is use this line unit here to guard the advance of my cavalry against his superior cav. And I'm going to use the range of my Jaegers. I've already been picking at... I thought I had been picking at one of his units. I will be soon. And then I have a couple of units right here in the center just to make sure my opponent can't make a push, which was actually kind of stupid because there's no crossing right here and I was totally safe. So I shouldn't have left those units there. Definitely stupid. You can see over here that the British player is taking shelter in these buildings. Actually pretty darn smart. It's hard to get them out of the buildings. Your men can continue to take shots and they take relatively little damage when they're being fired upon. But here are the Russian troops moving into melee, and this is where they will excel. If they get a good charge in, they will definitely hurt you. So here comes one of those bayonet charge, I guess Suvorov style. They're going to get in here and start whooping up on these King's German Legion unit. So excellent use of the Russian troops. You can see that he is getting bottlenecked up here though, and he's getting hammered on pretty good by this foot unit here. But he's got some troops back across the river. He's trying to lay down some supporting fire with these Russian Jaegers. That's going to be helpful. He has taken this corner almost. There's one British foot unit left, and then he will have punched through this corner. The British player did not reinforce with these troops from the hill, probably because he was worried about opening up the French guy's flank. But to be honest, I didn't really have enough troops, plus there was an old guard in this vicinity, so he should have definitely moved these troops to reinforce the fight going on in the city, because the Russian player is overwhelming him without his reinforcements coming in. Again, here's the melee fight going on. Get you some close-ups. It's a pretty sweet fight. There's some things about the graphics on Napoleon that I like, some things that I don't. I thought there's some of the factors on the graphics on Empire that were just as good or better. There's certain things about the gameplay on Empire I like better, but there's certain things about the gameplay and effects and stuff I like on Napoleon better. I kind of wish they could combine the best of both and make a game, and then I would have liked that probably better. I kind of liked the gameplay on Empire better just because it was a little slower, and I thought it was just, I don't know, a little neater. But that's just me. It's just, you know, my opinion. You don't have to buy into it. Here I am moving these Jaegers up, trying to get some pot shots on his units up here. I've taken out 6 of these. Cheshire. I'm not really going to be able to do much damage to him, and again, the Wind Jaeger is really the only rifle unit on the game that is accurate from a distance. The other ones, even though their accuracy is really high, they won't hit jack from the 125 range, even on flat ground, which is absolutely retarded. I mean, it defeats the purpose of the unit altogether. So the whole deal with the unit is, whose general was that? Allied general killed, so the Russian general just went down. It defeats the whole purpose of having the long-range units, so that's one of the things I also disliked about Napoleon. I think a lot of people were so sick of the 125 range units in Empire that CA nerfed the living daylights out of them to the point where they were useless. And so I think that was a mistake. They shouldn't have made them useless. They should have made them a little more useful. A rifle would have been insanely more accurate than the smoothbore muskets being used by these troops over here. But the rifle also reloaded slower, and unless the country knew how to machine rifle, which a lot of them didn't at that time, it was hard to produce rifles. So that would have been the drawback. So the rifles should be more expensive and fire slower, but they should be a lot more accurate. So for some reason, even though it shows their stats as like 70 accuracy or something like that in the game, they suck. They hit nothing. So like these Jaegers I brought was actually a waste of a unit. I should have just brought more Grenzers. But the Wind Jaeger was totally worth it. They did get shot up a little bit when I wasn't paying attention by this rifle unit. But they still have some ammo, and I'm trying to save them for the right time. You can see that I did pot shot a few of these old guard away. Check it out, that horse. He's like, "Please pardon me, dear sirs, I'm trying to leave the battlefield. My owner is dead." Very nice. Alright, so yeah, the Russian player has taken the town. He's holed up in one of these buildings. The British player's kind of got another choke point, so he's fallen back to the next choke point. Pulled down his reinforcing troops. He's still got a mounted rifle and a Cossack cav back here. Musketeers, another Cossack cav, a lifeguard horse. So he's got some good units back here, but the Russian player definitely took a beating taking the town. Very much in Russian fashion, you know, sending in a lot of men, a lot of them get killed. Okay, you know, I'm just teasing. But no, it's true, they did that a lot, you know, like the Battle of Stalingrad, it was pretty rough. Of course, I mean, they didn't have a whole lot of options, so I don't guess I blame them. So here I'm just getting into a fight. My Grenzer's taking on these guys. These Shashir on higher ground, so they'll do pretty well. Shashir are a better unit than the Grenzers. Even though my guys have a little bit of like cover from the woods here, they're not going to do very well. I totally, that's the thing, like, that's why I think they should allow Austria to bring more than one Wendjäger, unless they want to go back and, like, you know, fix the regular Jaeger units, because otherwise Austria is at a complete and total disadvantage in the range fight. And again, though, the Wendjägers cost like 1,230, so you pay for them, and their ammo's pretty limited, so you gotta make it count. I think my Wendjäger's got about 100 and something kills by the time this is over, so I ended up making it worth it, but I mean, that's a pretty expensive trade-off for that many kills. Like I said, they definitely need to give them more ammo, or make them cheaper and allow you to bring more than one. That's just my opinion, but I'm pretty sure that that's the way it should be. Again, that was one of the balancing issues with Napoleon that I didn't like. Fun game, nice effects, should have had fire by rank and a little bit slower firing rate. I think that would have made the game a little more interesting. The cav fight should last a little longer. A few things like that, but other than that, Napoleon really was a good game. So over here, I'm kind of picking at my opponent. It's really not doing it again. Again, look, one kill from a volley of rifles that has 70 accuracy. So 60 rifles, 70 accuracy, one kill. Absolutely stupid. So yeah, the rifles in this game are just retarded. The Wendjägers are the only ones that hit anything. So what I end up doing is using my rifles as a meat shield here in a minute, because that's all they're good for anyway. An expensive meat shield. So let's see, 77, 76. So this is a pretty even fight between my Grenzers. This unit has the high ground. My unit's doing just as good. So it looks like it's a pretty even fight between Grenzers and right here is where I accidentally got my expensive Windbushjäger shot by his rifles. This is absolute genius. I do set up my Windjägers here and let them start shooting at this rifle unit. I decided to just go ahead and let them take it and finish out the fight, because they only have so much ammo left anyway. And I was letting this rifle unit shoot into the dirt for a long time, wasting its ammo. Hopefully that would come in handy later. But yeah, even though they're not taking like a whole ton of shots, these Windbushjägers are pretty accurate. And this is from long range against a unit in loose formation, so not bad at all. Like I said, they should definitely change some of the statistics on this unit to make it more useful, where you can bring more than one, have a little more ammo. Yes, I know they fire crazy fast and they're deadly accurate, but if it capped it to like 2 and gave them a little more ammo, I mean, let's be honest, it's Austria we're talking about. They need a little help, because they don't have any guard units and stuff like that, so I think it would be good. And their cavalry's not all that great either. So I think Austria could use a bone there if someone threw him a bone. It's funny, my opponent retreated. I actually think he would have won that fight, but he retreated for my Windbushjägers. So my guys did end up getting some nice kills there. I decide that I'm going to move over here to support my teammate, so I'm going to take my Archduke Charles Legion and my Emperor's Own, which is funny because I think, now I could be wrong, I think they're statistically superior to these two British units, and somehow my guys managed to lose the fight, which is brilliant. I'll let you watch that. The Russians kind of hold up here, biding his time, trying to pick his way apart through these the British blockade, so to speak, here. So yeah, there my Windbushjägers are out of ammo. So now this thing is also an expensive meat shield. Very annoying. Almost no ammo. You have enough ammo to kill like one unit. That's just absolutely freaking retarded, especially considering it only has 45 men. Now I should have let my guys get the first shot here, but he pulled this rifle unit back and started pegging my guys in the side, which that was a nuisance. I also thought it's funny that my rifles never hit anything, but these British rifles have already killed 6 of my men. If it were my rifles, they wouldn't have hit, like, squat.
One of our units has used all its
That's just my luck. I think the British rifles are a little better than some of the others, but they're still not great. Alright, let's see what happens here. Yep, so I did get the first shot right there, actually. Pretty solid volley. This is probably why I lost. I bet I let him get the first shot. Nope. See, I got the first shot on both of them, and my guys still lose. And it's not like this rifle's doing like super considerable damage over here, so that's really frustrating. Not sure why that is. Especially since these are two like specialty units. These are just two regular British foot units. Now granted, British foot units are probably one of the better foot units in the game. As far as accuracy and reload, I would think. It's a pretty even exchange right now. I'm winning in this one. I guess the rifle's making up for 95. I'm winning in both of these. For some reason my guys end up losing this fight though. Absolutely blows my mind. I'm just picking at my opponent. Oh, I did make my push over here, so you can see I'm meat shielded with my rifles. Pushed my line infantry into range of his rifles. He did not move his line infantry forward within range of my line infantry. So you can see that I was able to blast out his front here. And then I formed squares at the last second to stop his expensive Lancer units and then charge my Uhlans in there as well. So I'm going to tag team out these expensive Lancer units that would otherwise have wrecked a lot of my units. So there I get rid of them. And now the only place where my opponent hasn't placed stakes is right here in the corner, so I now do have a means to get my cavalry into the backfield. And I can also start outflanking maneuvers over here. I'm a little slow to do it though because I'm focused on other areas of the fight, like over here where my unit was winning and now all of a sudden it's losing. Absolutely and utterly brilliant. It might be because the general came down here too and inspired his men. Wasn't paying attention. Yeah, it looks like the morale factor played in. So that must have been what it was, the morale of the general. So yeah, I still have more men over here on this side with the Emperor's Own. And it's about even on this fight. Yep, it was the morale factor in the end that lost it for me. Cause I should have brought my general over here and inspired these guys and I probably could have won. That was stupid of me. Like I said, I reek at Napoleon. I make lots of mistakes.
Our men are running.
So here's a Russian player making a push across the choke point. Got some French Chasseur à Cheval over here. But he's doing a good job of tag teaming them out. And he's shooting across the river into these British units. And even though I end up losing this fight, my having beat the crap out of these two units ends up coming in handy for my teammates. So it wasn't a complete and total loss, but it definitely was a pretty big blunder on my part. Pretty darn stupid. Like I said, Napoleon is not my game, but I made up for it by completely devastating my opponent's flank over here. And so now I'm going to start moving my troops up. Like I said, I'm a little slow to do it because I was just realizing my units over here routed, and I was like, what the crap, that sucks. But now you can see me pushing other units up in this vicinity. I'm going to start putting some pressure on the French player. I've gone around the flank. I'm going to take out these voltigeurs who regrouped. If I ever move my troops, holy crap, I'm going slow. Yeah, I must have been, microing these horses and some other stuff over here. Man, I reek. There I go. So now I'm going to move my troops up.
Our men are running.
Now that I've let my men get routed. That's how a good commander in the true form of Patchy. But of course these Jaegers just earn it because they suck. They couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Alright, here comes my Uhlans around the corner. I route these voltigeurs real quick. They were already routed once, so it wasn't that difficult. And then I'm going to make a charge into his general, which he charges in with his general. He should have led the charge with his other unit. And right here, let's see, his general is right here, I believe. Somewhere right here. I think that's him. Maybe. It's one of these guys. Anyway, you can see my Uhlans working their magic there. The enemy general unit routes, and I was trying to remember the other cab unit he brought in here. It was a dragoon unit. Yeah, so these dragoons really won't be all that great against my two Uhlan units. They are better in like a sit-down knockout fight here because they have the straight sabers. My guys are better on the charge, but my numbers are going to get to him. Dragoon's just not a very good unit. Alright, so here's another line fight going on. I've got my Hungarian Fusilier squaring off with these French Fusilier of the line. I have positioning though. Yeah, look at that positioning. I'm doing a great job of killing this hill. I don't like the fact that this hill is supporting my opponent, so I'm just going to shoot it.
Our men are running.
Man. I really got to work on this game and play it more. Maybe I'll get better. Of course, not a whole ton of people play it anymore. Alright, so my Russian teammate still in a stalemate. Looks like he got pushed back again. So he's still in kind of a stalemate with the British player over here. Interesting. Now, my opponent is starting to shift a lot of his troops over here to the flank that he's losing. Now, this is the problem with playing really defensively. If he was playing in a more compact or attacking formation, he could have shifted troops sooner to reinforce. But now, as soon as he starts shifting troops over here, I can come across and attack over here, put pressure on this flank again, and make it difficult for him. So I just got my general over there, inspired my men. I got to push these French troops out of the fight. I've got my cavalry in the backfield, so I'm in a good position, but I got to be careful because he's got his young guard with an eye on my cav, so I got to get out of there. I don't want to get shot to pieces. But I'm definitely going to blast the crap out of his line that was back here. He's got this young guard. His old guard is still somewhere on the field. I think it's over here. Oh, that's a Fusilier unit. Where did he put his old guard? Right here. I'm definitely still afraid of the old guard unit because one-on-one it can kill a lot of my men. And it scares enemy units around it. So I've definitely busted through on this flank. My teammate is doing pretty well. He's causing some pretty severe damage to the British player right now. He's going to make another push over here with some regrouped units. And it looks like he's finally going to break through. The British player brought these rifles across, but I think they're out of ammo. Just the same as my Wen Jaegers. Or no, this is the Emperor's Own that's regrouped. Man, if I would have charged those rifles, I could have killed them. I am a retard. It's a good thing I really won big on this flank because I wasn't doing a whole lot anywhere else. Looks like I'm going to push out this last unit of French Fusiliers. They do come back from routing though. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because it's getting towards the end of the fight. I had to watch out, like I almost ran my general into these stakes. Check that out. That would have been like a total error mistake. Get it? Mistake? Oh man. No one can crack retarded jokes like I can. Alright, let's fast forward. Just kind of show you what happens. Like I said, my Russian teammate's going to make a final break over here and push on through. The British general comes across over here and actually gets a pretty good attack in on the back of my men. So I'm using these rifle units that are out of ammo as a meat shield to come up here and soak up some fire. The idea was to come across and start shooting it out with these French units. But my opponent does a good job here using his general and then also giving me problems. So here comes his general unit. He's going to charge into the back of me while I'm in crossing, so I can't form a square. And even if I could, I was going to get shot to pieces by these units. And then he's going to melee charge me. The only thing I would have done different, if I were him, I would have just set up and started shooting. And he would have routed me a lot faster. But because he goes into melee, it allows me to last longer, plus he starts shooting, and it actually kills some of his own men. So it works out a little to my favor, even though I got caught in a pretty bum position right there. Definitely not the best position. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to attack my opponent. He's still got quite a few troops left. He's got some chasseurs. He's also got this old guard. And I want to say he's got a young guard. Yeah, he does right there. So it's definitely going to create problems for me. I just killed the British general. My troops actually held out here a lot longer than I thought they would. I was proud of them. It's a bunch of chasseurs in this fight, though. I don't know if they're out of ammo or what. My guys are going to do pretty darn well in melee here. And like I said, any shots this unit takes are probably going to hit his own men. It's not like Shogun 2 where they'll pinpoint around your men. So I'm kind of waiting to engage because I want the Russian player to be able to come and help me. So he is marching across the bridge. Here's the victorious forces, what remains for the Russian. He's got this Simonovsky Life Guard, 2 musketeers, a little bit of Cossack Cav, a Russian Jaeger unit. So he's got a few units there. The Russian Jaeger's probably out of ammo, would be my guess too. So I'm going to try and set up here and start shooting, take as many shots as I can. I want to kill as many of these French units as I can. I'm kind of thinking with my Cav and my infantry the best way to handle this. I mean, I feel pretty confident that we can win, but if I make like a hasty attack, my opponent does have a pretty well defended little hill there, and with those 2 guard units, he could very well rout a whole bunch of my men, and that would be very, very bad. So I do have to be a little bit patient here, like I said, even though we pretty much have this game in the bag at this point. So finally he routs my infantry over there, but he ends up routing his own unit of Fusilier there too with these chasseurs. So that worked out good for me. So my guys over there caused quite a lot of damage. I do have this one Grinzer unit left with 29 men, so I'm going to start picking at the old guard. You always want to shoot for the most expensive targets. My opponent's not going to just sit there and take that for too long. He moves back, but all I have to do is move up. And since he's in a defensive position on this hill, I can get in position to kill him. So there we go. Move up those Grenzers. You can see they're horribly slow on the reload, not super effective. Granted, there's only half of them left, or less than half of them left, but still, they're causing some pretty good kills. Young Guard and Old Guard right next to each other, man. That is one place I really don't look forward to attacking. The Russian player should have lined up and taken some shots, but he starts charging across. This is pretty crazy, really crazy. So he's going to end up getting shoot up pretty good. The Old Guard starts engaging my men here, and even though I've got 2 units versus the Old Guard, it's going to do extremely well just because of the morale factor. And then I've got my my Grenzer shooting, and I'm going to start moving in my line infantry. I brought my Cav over here to try and turn some more of my opponent's attention this way, but if he forms a square when my Cav tries to come across there, it's going to be ugly. Let's see. Looks like he's got some of his units firing. They're kind of bunched up on each other, though. I am decimating the Old Guard pretty well, but it's going to stand there and fight for a long time. This Young Guard is going to really hurt my men up front, really badly. So you can see these French units really tearing up my men's morale. These Grenzers have a higher position, so I leave them firing because they're not going to hit my own men, so the terrain worked out to my advantage right there. My biggest focus is this Old Guard, though. If I can get rid of the Old Guard, I'll be in good shape. And here comes the Austrian cavalry. So here I am going to come in, you know, horde style. My opponent really should have formed a square. If he would have formed a square, I would have been screwed. But he charged downhill thinking he could maybe break my men. But cavalry are very effective against unsquared infantry units in this game. I lose my depleted unit of Uhlans. But my other 2 bigger units managed to break through and hit his Young Guard in the back. And this is going to be a critical moment here. And check out these Young Guard going for a flight. So that's going to help break the Young Guard. But check that out. Even with the charge in the back, their morale came back up. So General dead, charge in the back. Very good units. The Old Guard routes, and that's pretty much going to be it for the French player at this point. He does have 1 unit back here that I forgot about. We end up killing in the end, but I'm just going to fast forward to the end. Show you the results screen. Hope you enjoyed it. It's kind of a long battle, I know, but like I said, I kind of like these longer strategic battles in Napoleon just because I'm way too inept to micro my way through anything else.
Our men are running,
so yeah, sorry I stink at Napoleon and I can't give you like some expert tactics, but there's other players out there who are good at it, who can give you some tactics. Of course, then again, when do I ever give you like expert tactics? I can give you some pretty good advice on certain Total War games, but I'm going to quit recording until we get to the results screen, so I'll see you there. Alright, here's the results screen so you can see my opponents there. Good game to everybody who played. It was enjoyable. Like I said, I know I'm not like the best at this game. I did end up getting a pretty fair number of kills, but so did the British player. But the Russian player did bring a very large army, and so that's one of the reasons why he got so many kills there. The Russian player still had men left over. Definitely a fun game. Let's take a look at some of my unit statistics. So Hungarian Fusilier, Emperor's Own did good. Wind Jaeger's got almost 100 kills. See, I mean, they just don't have enough ammo. They just really don't have enough ammo. For them to be able to expend all their ammo and only get 94 kills is pretty bad. I mean, I think it would be okay if CA would change that, but of course we know they're not going to go back and patch it at this point. Anyway, fun game, fun game. Heir of Carthage, signing off for now.